response out like cancer and I did. Kind of purposely.
That's okay.
Julie, can you go? Get a picture of what's I'm sorry, I don't have this written down. It's okay. I'm glad. Well, it's an important time. Not just because of us. 6 years. 6 years.
That's how long it's been since you've seen each other?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
The Duke was on Zavno, Maryland. Oh. There's something waiting for you. So you might want to.
Because the soul water, yes, the soul water, the flows are right after it transportation. That's okay.
You want my job? I'm leaving the seat for like I noticed oh my God, we all kept to the jet. You know, there's this big. Okay, gotcha.
It's got a long way to go.
Where's this gonna go? What is my
Now, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to everyone on this very special night. I'm Rabbi Michael Feshbach.
Cantor Rhoda Harrison.
We are delighted to be joined tonight by our accompanist, Tom Adams, who is over here, will be joining us for part of tonight's service. But we welcome Addie and her brother and sister and family members as well, in honor of the bat mitzvah tomorrow morning of Addison Winters. So welcome to all of you who are here either for the first time or for the bat mitzvah. But a very special welcome as well. We add in as well, not only to Moshe Gottesman, but fresh off the plane, arriving at Newark Airport from Tel Aviv at 6 a.m. this morning, Jonah Gottesman, who will be sharing with us during the service in the sermon slot later, but also taking questions, what life has been like in Israel, in Tel Aviv, for him, for his partner, and also for his family members, some of whom were right on the Gaza border. Will be sharing that with us later tonight. So, Bruchim Habaim, Baruch Haba, welcome to Jonah, and Shabbat Shalom to everyone.
We open the Shabbat with words that are familiar, Oseh Shalom Yimromav, a melody that is very familiar, but a melody that is so familiar we think, oh, it goes all the way back to Sinai. But indeed it was written in those years between the 1967 war in Israel and the Yom Kippur War, a period of immense optimism until 1973. So we open with it tonight with a prayer that we can hold on to a little bit of that optimism and hope through these days of turmoil. Oseh Shalom Yimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'Yimru Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael.
Recently, some of you have been asking us to point out in one way or another when there are new composers being introduced. Almost nothing tonight is new, but it is not usually in our every week or every month fare. There are a number of Israeli composers, all of whom we have heard from before, but not every single week, who we will be including tonight. The list is actually on the handout, the 1/3 of the page blue handout that includes the list of Israeli composers for tonight. We open with Kabbalat Shabbat, the psalms and songs with which we welcome Shabbat, pages 130 and 131, Psalm 95 and Psalm 96. Lechuna Ranana Ladonai and Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash. Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai, sing unto God a new song.
Let's
mention the page numbers in this smaller version of the Siddur. It is the page numbers in brackets. I am partially responsible for those brackets being there, but that is a story for another time. We turned in the brackets to page 135, the last paragraph on the page from Psalm 99. Exalt Adonai our God, and bow toward God's holy hill. Romanu Adonai Eloheinu.
Romenu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtatavu le'har kodsham. Romenu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtatavu le'har kodsham. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romenu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romenu. Romenu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtatavu le'har kodsham. Romenu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtatavu le'har kodsham.
L'chadodi, pages 138 and 139. And even though we are doing a disservice to the composer, because the composer, if you look at the Hebrew, on pages 138 and 139, the composer signed his name with the first letter of each of the stanzas. If you look at them, the Hebrew letter, or even the transliteration, Shlomo Halevi, is written as the first letter of each of the stanzas. But we are going to mess with his name because we are only including stanzas 1, 2, 5, and 9. And of course, when we reach stanza 9 in a few moments, we will rise and face the door. Page 138 and 139, L'chadodi. From the 17th century, the words from the 21st century in Israel, this setting of Shalom Aleichem 142, page 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShalem, Malachei Elyon, V'melech Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bo'achem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, V'melech Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchoni leShalom, Malachei HaShalom,
The last paragraph above the line on 143 together. Waking from his sleep, Jacob said, "Truly Adonai is in this place, and I did not know it." He was awestruck and said, "How awe-inspiring is this place? This is none other than the house of God." And this is the gate of heaven. 144, we rise and we face east.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמך.
Amen.
ילמד יברכותי ויניח מלכותי. לחייך וביונך ולחיי כל בית ישראל. בעדלה ובזמן קריב אמרו שמי רב המברך לעולם לעולם
148 as we face each other but remain standing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, v'chokhmah poteach sha'arim, ובתבונה משנה איתי, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים, במשמרותיה ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני. Bottom of 150. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and our commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them makes our praise. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Before we chant Shema on the blue sheet, it says it's by an Israeli composer. That was before I knew Addie would be leading us. The melody Addie will be leading us is not from Israel. It's from Vienna in the 19th century. It was an attempt to bring modern music into the synagogue of its era, not unlike many Israeli composers. If you listen closely, it's a waltz. And that was Zoltzer's intent when he set this melody that Addie will use to lead Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malachutam Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated.
Page 159, then back to 158 for Mi Chamocha. Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect. The song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. In preparation for Jonah's remarks later, I will point out that each of the three possible translations of Hashkivenu, on pages 160 and 161, each of them is anchored in the central word of this prayer, a word which has played a very great role in our consciousness since October 7th. The word in each of them, you can see them in each of the English translations. The word is shelter. Hashkivenu, page 160.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ushtor tzeitzenu uvoenu nechaim l'shalom me'ata v'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim.
We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. Vishamru, page 162.
Shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asut et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam b'nei olam b'nei uven b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam b'nei uven b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz u'bayom hashvi Shabbat vayinachash.
The Amidah is a group of prayers. It is a unit, so we don't want to interrupt in the middle of the Amidah with explanations, but there are two notes about the selections for the Amidah later in the group of prayers. Did you want to say something about Shalom Rav?
I can do that now. So the selection when we get to Shalom Rav may not be familiar, possibly members of the choir, I don't know if it was ever done. But it was written in response, in memory to the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin by our dear colleague, Cantor Eric Consius, an American cantor. But as many of us remember that evening when we first learned news, it was one of those moments that is frozen in time. And the Shalom Rav, again, that we'll share this evening is in memory of Yitzhak Rabin.
And the Oseh Shalom is a piece that I introduced, not the words. We sung Yoreh Hirsch's words earlier. I didn't write those.
Although words are from the Talmud.
Words are from a long time
The
ago.
Talmud. Yeah.
But the setting that I have introduced is by Yoel Sykes of Nava Tehillah in Jerusalem. We continue with the Amidah. Beginning on page 164, we rise and we face east.
Adonai sifat tifta ufia v'tehilatecha. Adonai open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech Eloheinu
Continue in personal prayer. Page 178, you may be seated. Before the gate has been closed, before the last question is posed, before I am transposed, before the weeds fill the gardens, before there are no pardons, before the concrete hardens, before all the flute holes are covered, before things are locked in the cupboard, before the rules are discovered, before the conclusion is planned, before the closing of God's hand, before we have nowhere to stand, bless us with peace. Oseh Shalom, the bottom of page 180. Two more prayers before we hear from Jonah. The prayer for healing. After the traditional blessing, the words we will sing are found on the inside back cover. And then the prayer of lamentation, the last words on the small blue handout. The prayer for release of captives. Mishaberach Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak, v'Yaakov, v'imotenu Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, who yivarech v'yirapeh tacholim ha'eleh. O God, who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, send your blessing and healing, your comfort, and your hope to all those who are injured of every nation and race whose names we do not know. And in particular, we add as well in hopes for healing Mona Ellis, Cynthia Baylor, Kendra Judith Avadia, Hassan, Yehudit, Alana, Bat, Ora, Zelda, Leanne Kaplan, Rona Rob, and the other names in the prayer for healing.
David Wetzel and Sonia Kaplan.
Susan.
Baruch atah Adonai Rofeh Cholim. We praise you, O God, who helps us heal, who hears our prayer.
In your little blue sheets, you'll find a blessing that many are singing in these days of turmoil. Baruch atah Adonai, asher asanu asirei tikva. Praised are you, blessed are you, God, who makes us captives of hope. May we always remain a captive of hope. Baruch atah Adonai, asher asanu asirei tikva. 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 Blessed are you, God. Blessed are you, God, who makes us captives of hope, oh captives of hope. Asher asanu asirei tikva. Baruch atah Adonai, asher asanu asirei tikva. Baruch atah Adonai, asher asanu asirei tikva.
Many of you know that I have known Moshe Gottesman for considerably longer than I have known Cantor Harrison.
There.
In fact, I have known Jonah since he was 2 years old. In 2001, you can do the math and figure out his age, when on my first day going to the religious school of my new congregation, Temple Shalom in Chevy Chase, I hear a voice screaming at me from across the parking lot, "Michael Feshbach." And it was Jonah's mother, with whom I had grown up at Temple Sinai, crossing a few blocks over from Temple Sinai and joining Temple Shalom because I was the rabbi there. What Jonah may not know is that our connection goes beyond that as well. Your grandfather of blessed memory and my father of blessed memory, did you know this? Were fraternity brothers together in one of the first integrated fraternities at Syracuse University in the 1940s. They asked Jim Brown, by the way, to join that fraternity, and he thought about it and decided to join an all-black fraternity instead. But it was the first integrated fraternity on campus. So our families go way back. After our move to Maryland, we spent 14 of the next 16 years after Ne'ilah, after Yom Kippur, at the Gottesman home. And I have had many, many Israeli salads made by Moshe. And I remember those very well, including a number of exactly what you're not supposed to do in the spirit of Yom Kippur, a number of frustrating Washington Nationals playoff games playing in the background. When I reconnected with Cantor Harrison, heard that she was dating Moshe, and then heard that Jonah had made Aliyah, was living in Tel Aviv, I was thrilled for the opportunity to reconnect. When they told me that he would be coming home for 2 weeks, home to the United States from home in Israel, I refused to let the opportunity go to waste. And so I Zoom called Jonah and said, look, are you willing, you're going to have jet lag, you're getting in that morning, 6 a.m. in Newark, you willing to share what's been going on with you, with your country? And he immediately said yes. So to this young man whose bar mitzvah I officiated at, whose confirmation I stood with him at, who I watched from age 2, to welcome you back from Tel Aviv, Jonah Gottesman.
Thank you so much for having me here. Just thank you for the wonderful introduction, Rabbi Feshbach. A little bit about me. Obviously, I grew up in Maryland at Rabbi Feshbach's congregation, Temple Shalom in Chevy Chase, Maryland. I graduated from Georgetown University in 2021. And then I made Aliyah also in the same year, in 2021, to go live with my partner, who is from Israel, and who I had met years before that on a birthright trip in 2018. And I have currently been living in Tel Aviv since I arrived in Israel. So a little bit about my experience. It all began at 6:30 in the morning on October 7th. It started with my phone going off like this. At the time, I stood kind of in shock for a second. We were sleeping. We had no idea what was happening. I was first woke up, and I started tapping my partner because he hadn't woken up. And at first I thought I was dreaming for a second. I didn't think it could be real. I mean, occasionally, we'd have some surprises of missiles, and that was a usual part of, life in Israel. Something to me about this felt different. I couldn't put my finger on it at that moment, what it was. Our initial thought that went to our head, though, was, it's just a missile attack that was sent by Hamas, and this happens a couple times a year. Everything's okay. We went to go, at that moment, when it happened, we went to go hide in our bathroom, which is our safest place in our apartment, which is not very safe at all. But we live in an old building like many others in Tel Aviv. We took our 2 dogs, we ran into the bathroom, huddled in there. And then we went back to sleep right after that. And still we didn't know anything was going on. And then at about 7:30 on the dot, we had another missile barrage, and it ended up happening every hour. And then we understood that something was going on, that this wasn't normal. And we started to see the reports of terrible things happening in southern Israel. Videos that were our worst nightmares. Seeing terrorists riding around in trucks with AK-47s in the middle of the streets. I honestly, I was in shock. I didn't think that could happen. It didn't even occur to me. I thought it was fake. I didn't want to believe it. And from that moment, we understood that this was just the beginning, that something bigger was coming. And throughout that day, we received lots of missile alerts, obviously, and we went to go hide every time. It was extremely scary and all of that. then we started getting more and more videos that I know probably some of you have seen. And that night, I could barely sleep that night of October 7th after everything had happened. Knowing that there were terrorists on the loose in the streets somewhere in Israel, I had the fear that someone was watching me. We live on the ground floor, that someone would come to my window and just murder us in our sleep. That's a little bit about my October 7th. I do want to talk about my family who happens to live on the Gaza border. And I do want to warn you that some of the details here may be difficult to hear. My aunt and two of her kids, along with their families, reside in Kibbutz Nirim. Kibbutz Nirim is located just a mile from the border with Gaza. It's very close in proximity to the site of the music festival massacre in Reim. On the morning of October 7th, they were all at home at 6:30, just like we were. They got the missile alert, just like us. And for them, it was also, even more so, a normal part of life. It was all the time they would receive throughout the past, now 15 years, missile attacks on their community were normal. And so they went to their shelter like they normally did. And after a few hours, things got a little crazier. Just like us, we got reports going around that Hamas terrorists had invaded the nearby communities in the Gaza envelope. And fortunately, soon these terrorists entered Kibbutz Nirim. People in WhatsApp groups were freaking out, sending messages, asking and pleading for help. And they were reporting people shouting in Arabic and gunshots all around them. People had to stay quiet, keep their kids quiet as these terrorists went on a rampage, firebombing homes, kidnapping kibbutz members, and committing cold-blood murders. My cousin Barel and his wife Avishag had a very traumatic experience. They had to make a difficult decision to keep their kids calm, or maybe to say their last goodbyes, because at any moment, these terrorists could burst into their home and end it all. Barel, Avishag, and their 3 kids hid in their safe room. Keep in mind, a safe room is not to keep you safe from an intruder, from terrorists. It's to keep you safe from mortar and missile fire. They armed themselves with all of what they had, which were kitchen knives. When they were in the shelter, the kids asked why they took the knives. Why did they need to have knives with them? Avishag responded to the kids and said they were for cutting grapes. This is a reality that only an Israeli can grasp. Imagine facing the idea that these could be the last moments with your family without a chance to say goodbye or to explain to your children what is going on. Even my cousin Barel, who's not a religious man at all, who never sets foot in a synagogue, found himself praying for safety for him and his family. Avishag recalled Holocaust stories, thought about how the Jews had to stay in complete silence in order to survive. The situation became so dire that Avishag even thought of the unthinkable, ending it all for her family to prevent her kids from being taken hostage in Gaza. Meanwhile, my Aunt Ruthie was at her home with her husband Victor, and her son Iftach and his family who were visiting Yerim for the holidays. Like Baral and Avishag, my aunt and her son had to keep their grandchildren quiet through this whole ordeal. They also heard gunfire and shouts in Arabic just outside their window. My aunt Ruthie, similar to Avishag, thought about the Holocaust, but specifically to her mother Frida, my grandmother, who was the only member of her family who survived the Holocaust. She recalled the following stories of my grandmother's survival to help her get through this traumatic time. She also took a kitchen knife. She sat at the entrance to her safe room while her family huddled there. She was ready to sacrifice her life to save her husband, his wife, and their little grandchildren. A few hours later, things got scarier when Barel on his security camera saw on his security cameras that terrorists were trying to get in through his son's bedroom window. And at the same time, they could hear two men speaking Arabic very close to the safe room. It hit them that the terrorists were in their house. Avishag was panicking. Her heart was racing through her chest, about to explode. She felt like this was the end of her life and her children's lives. The kids started to finally understand what was going on and that they were in trouble and began to cry. Avishag and Barel did their best to keep them quiet as possible, even though they could barely keep themselves composed. They stayed in their safe room until the army arrived at their home 14 hours after hiding. The army assured them that it was safe to leave, but Barel kept insisting that there were terrorists in his house. Eventually, they left the house with the soldiers, and as they fled, gunshots echoed from their home. 2 terrorists had been hiding in their son's bedroom. They were shot dead on his son's bed. Their blood soaked the sheets and the mattress. Looking back in reflection, that blood could have been theirs. Avishag concluded by saying, Nirim used to be my home, but now it is no longer my home. I have no home anymore. Barel and Avishag and their kids, the rest of my family, are all alive. They are among the over 500,000 internal refugees in Israel and are currently living in a hotel in the southern resort city of Eilat, along with the other members of Kibbutz Nirim. For the next weeks after the attack, I could barely sleep, knowing that there were little children and babies, alone, kidnapped in the tunnels of Gaza. This is something I still struggle with to this day. Watching the videos that Hamas published online of people my age being dragged around Gaza and paraded killed me on the inside, because I knew that I could have been in their shoes. Life in Israel is difficult. People ask me all the time, how are you doing? I guess the best answer I can give is okay. I don't think I can be good. Every day revolves around war. Every day in Tel Aviv, almost every day up until the past week, we had missile barrages multiple times a day. We eventually found, after hiding in our bathroom for a few days, that 2 doors down from us, another building had a shelter in their basement. And from that point, we decided to make the difficult journey every time there's a siren, to run with 2 dogs on a leash, and to make it there within a minute and a half. It's very, very difficult. For me, it's really difficult because I read the news, but I also live in it. The psychological terrorism that we experience it's unfathomable. Our life revolves around the impending thought of the next missile attack. We plan our days around it because we know that every missile attack is usually on the hour or half an hour. A trip to the grocery store, I try to leave after the hour is over and before the next hour because I know I have the least chance of having a missile attack. And that's the game that Hamas is playing on us. We are captive by them also. This past now month and a half, for me feels like a year. Every day feels like a month. It's the way that the sirens and the explosions affect me and affect everyone, it's unfathomable. When I hear that sound, or when I hear anything outside, the littlest thing, the littlest boom, I go like that. I freeze. I hear someone on an electric scooter on the street. It sounds like a siren. And on top of that, of living in a war zone and experiencing all of that, and experiencing the collective trauma of being Israeli right now, seeing all the disgusting anti-Semitic pictures, protests, and words people are saying in the United States and around the world, while also living through it day in and day out, it hurts me so much. I have to say that I felt a lot of anxiety to travel to America now, which is kind of ironic because I live in a war zone. But I kind of felt before this trip a feeling of not belonging anymore in the United States, and realizing that my home is in Israel. I experienced a lot over the past few weeks with peers that I was in college with, high school, who I grew up with, saying the most disgusting and heinous things about the Holocaust, things like Holocaust denial, posting anti-Semitic cartoons, watching people my age around the country tearing down posters of little children who are being held captive in Gaza. I'm very troubled by people in my generation and how they see this conflict and oppression through a lens that's black and white and doesn't allow for any nuance whatsoever. And my peers that are glorifying terrorism and Hamas while I'm living through this, it hurts even more. It's so difficult now to be Israeli and Jewish, as you all know, in the world. The Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs made a warning for all Israelis not to show any sign that they are Jewish or Israeli while traveling, and to avoid all travel if possible. I arrived in the U.S. today from Israel. It wasn't easy to make this trip. I had a lot of apprehension about it. But I did it. And today, this morning I arrived, and finally arrived to Cantor Harrison's house. I was sitting around the table, eating lunch with her and my dad, and suddenly my phone blows up with that screeching sound that I played for you before, of a siren. I had forgotten to turn off the notifications. For a second, I felt like I wanted to run and find safety, that I was in danger. I jumped. And then I remembered that I'm halfway across the world with my family, my partner, and the rest of Beth Israel continue to suffer.
On the high holidays, I shared a song that is familiar, I expect, to so many of us, by Naomi Shemer, Hu Yehi. It was written in response to the Yom Kippur War. And she wrote it, she was influenced by the song Let It Be by the Beatles. But in contrast, where Let It Be by the Beatles was understood as this passive, we're going to let it be and hope for the best. Lu Yehi in Hebrew is an active response. May it be that peace comes, may it be that we enact it, that we make it happen. I think this is in the book. Do you have the page? Sorry. It is in the book if you want to sing along.
352 in the not brackets.
352.
But the brackets are 656. 656.
Kol
I had promised that Jonah would take some questions, but we may postpone that to informal interactions during the oneg in a few moments. We also usually have announcements at this point, but I'm going to give our president, Linda Karp, some grace and mercy for the moment to do this after Elena and not before. So to any Winters parents who are left in the room, Dr. Winters, if you'll please come and help with the ARC doors for Elena. I see that one by one the kids have relocated. We need them for candles, kiddush, and motzi after the service. But if you'll come up, oh, are they? If they're right, then Logan, come on up. I can do just the two of you. It's okay. There's only 2 ARC doors. Logan, come on in. It's okay. They'll have their roles in a few minutes. We continue the bottom. Winters are coming.
Do they bring snow?
Page 586 on the bottom as the Winters family opens the ARC doors.
Please rise.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. I'm Linda Karp, president of Beth Israel, and I wish to welcome everybody that's here this evening and those that are watching from home. I especially want to say Mazel Tov to the Winters family, and I know tomorrow's an important day for you, and we wish you all well, and we wish to thank you for the beautiful flowers that are on the bima. Tomorrow morning there will be Shabbat study in the Cohen Library at 9:15, followed by Shabbat morning services at 10:30, during which we will celebrate Addie's bat mitzvah. I want to skip the rest of the announcements. I don't think they're appropriate this evening, but you can read them on constant contact that you get. I do want to thank you, Jonah. Your words are heartbreaking, and we are here with you and with Israel. We thank you. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
There are stars whose radiance is visible on this earth, though they have long since ceased to exist. There are people whose light and whose warmth continue to shine for us, though they are no longer among us. These stars which shine in the dark of the night. they light the way for humankind. We remember at this time those of our congregation's beloved whose yahrzeit occurs on this Shabbat. As is the custom of our congregation, should you choose to do so, as we call the name of a loved one, if you would rise so that we may know that you are here in mourning and in memory, then we will, as is the custom in most Reformed synagogues, rise as a congregation as a whole for Kaddish Yatom, for the mourner's Kaddish prayer itself. We remember Shirley Adler, Sarah Berger, Pauline Bernheim, Theophilus Bernheim, Abner Bowdy, Dr. Irving Dreichblum, Herman Fergus, Herman Gerber, Gussie Goldstein, Nathan Hofheimer, Samuel Corman, Rose Lasky, Raymond Lazar, Gertrude Lewis, Lillian Martin, Francis Morea, Albert Ox, Joseph Ron, Benjamin Ratner, Harold J. Rich, Hess Rosenblum, Dorothy Rosenthal, Nettie Skoll, Nathan Stoller, Samuel Weiss, Karen Weissman, Paula Weissenfeld, the Honorable Adolf Zeisler. During this period of Shloshim, the 30 days following their deaths, Harry Friedman, Murray Savar, Gail Rosenthal. Is there anyone else here to say Kaddish for someone whose name I did not mention? The memories of all of our loved ones are with us. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we turn now to page 598 and rise as a congregation for Kaddish Yatom. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabah, v'yalmad yivrach hirutei v'yamliv malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beth Israel, ba'agalau v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabah morach le'olam homei homaya. Yitparach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei kedusha v'richu. Le'elam yimko birchata v'shirata, tushmachata v'nechamata, ta'amiran alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shmama rabam min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom v'nomav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol Yoshvei Tevel v'yimru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn amongst us and wherever they may be. All those who are suffering the pain of loss, our own loved ones, those whose lives have been lost in Israel, the innocent Palestinians whose lives have been lost, those who are suffering the pain of loss everywhere, and together let us say, Amen.
Aseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol Yoshvei Tevel.
I ask you in your own time to take a look at the words on page 651, which we intended to close with. The timing is preventing it, but if you briefly glance at the words as we begin to make our way to the oneg, where candles, kiddush, and motzi will be led by members of the Winters family. May it be a Shabbat of shalom. May it be a sense of peace and of wholeness. And may the right kind of peace come soon. Shabbat shalom. Shalom. Erica. Go.
I was too crowded, I missed my shot.